Hello there, and welcome back to the Codex. So today I wanted to do a quick refresher / combo video on what I think are the two best speedrunning frames in the game for those quick missions that you want to just get in and get out of, like spies, rescues, captures, sabotages, any kind of really quick speedrunny type mission like that where you want to just do it as fast as possible. Kills don't matter, you're just hacking a few things or saving somebody and getting out of there. And those two frames are Wukong, the frame you see right here in front of you, and Titania. Now, technically, Titania is by far the fastest frame in the game, but sometimes she can be so fast that she's not quite as maneuverable. And if you're constantly bumping around in the walls and things like that, then you might end up actually going slower in some of those tighter hallway-style maps than Wukong, who isn't technically as fast, but he's much more maneuverable and highly controllable compared to Titania. But we are going to go over both of them. Titania is going to have a fun little trick build at the end of the video that you'll see here. So Wukong build here, this is the main build that I use for, like I said, all those kind of missions, rescues, spies, sabs, etc, etc, etc. This is just about a max duration build. I think in terms of duration, the only thing that I'm missing is the Archon mod for duration, which is Naira's Hatred, giving another 15%. And aside from that, I have every single duration mod on, and I have multi-efficiency. And then in terms of shards, I'm using 4 Tau Forge duration shards for an additional 60%, and then 1 casting speed shard, so that I can pop that Cloudwalker really fast. So between the 15% from the Archon mod and the 15% from I could use one more duration shard, I'm only missing 30% duration away from being the literal max duration in the game, not counting, of course, getting a temporary invigoration, because then that would be another 100%, which would, make this build even crazier for a week. Now, the reason why I'm using 4 duration shards instead of 5 is that I think the utility of combining this casting speed shard with natural talent to heavily juice up that casting speed, allowing you to instantly get in and out of Cloudwalker, is just a little bit better than that barely small amount of duration that I'm missing. So I really like that. But of course, if you want to swap something out, like that shard or this mod for the other mod, you can of course feel free to do that. We're also using Arcane Steadfast, which is helpful in terms of energy economy when you pair this with Energy Nexus. The really nice thing about Cloudwalker, which again, this is the main movement ability here, Cloudwalker is a duration-based cloud that you're inside of. It's not channeled, which means that Energy Nexus actually still works. So since we have so much duration on this build, 402% duration, once you account for multi-efficiency, which should be up basically all of the time, that means that Cloudwalker lasts basically 8 seconds. 8 seconds means that you are going to regenerate 24 energy while you are in Cloudwalker, and this ability with Blind Rage on only cost 38.75, so you regenerate over half of the cost of the ability while you're in the ability. So it's very efficient, especially when you pair it with the fact that Steadfast is going to mean that a lot of the time you're actually casting for free anyway, so typically you're going to be energy positive. We pair that with Preparation, which makes you spawn into the mission with max energy, so this 556 energy that he has thanks to Prime Flow, you're going to spawn into the mission with that 556 energy. And typically, for those really quick missions, this is more than enough to do the entire mission with no energy pads or any other kind of energy generation methods aside from what the build itself provides here. Now, there's a few ways that we can make this even better in regards to how fast you can go. A lot of you are probably aware Cloudwalker, like I said, is, compared to Titania, much, much slower, but you are able to beef up its speed by a huge amount with a few different movement speed buffs. Now, there's 3 different main kinds of speed increases in the game. There's sprint speed, parkour velocity, and movement speed. Those first 2, sprint speed and parkour velocity, have 0 effect on Cloudwalker. They do nothing at all. But movement speed, when something actually says movement speed, that is a global modifier that does affect Cloudwalker speed. So I replaced his 4th with Saren's Molt ability as the Helmuth. One of the effects of this ability is that it gives you a 5-second 50% movement speed buff. Now, 5 seconds is not a lot, but that scales with duration, and since we're building 400% duration on this build, that movement speed buff is actually 20 seconds long, and 20 seconds of a buffed Cloudwalker covers a lot of distance, especially because that 50% movement speed buff also scales with power strength. That's why I have Blind Rage on here. It's the only strength mod I have on here because, like I said, you mostly want duration. But just with Blind Rage, we double that speed buff from 50% to 100% movement speed, so you've doubled the speed of Cloudwalker. It doesn't stop there, though. If you use the Okina, and you get the Okina Incarnon, whether you put it on the non-prime or the prime, doesn't matter. One of the evolutions that you can pick is Swordsman Celerity, however you say that word. It gives you plus 30% movement speed. Again, that's raw movement speed, and you get that just for having this evolution picked and for having the Okina equipped. One more thing that we can do, though, if you go into your melee build, and you can do this on any melee, but if you use the Okina and do this, then it's, you know, you're double stacking the effect. You can use this Xless mod, Dispatch Overdrive. It says on heavy attack hit, plus 60% movement speed for 15 seconds. So by using the Okina evolution plus this, your Okina can give you 90% movement speed. We pair that with the 100% from the 199 strength Molt, and you've now almost tripled the speed of your Cloudwalker. This is ridiculously fast. Now, just as a little platinum saving tip for you guys, make sure that you're aware of the fact that just because this is an Xless mod, doesn't mean that you have to actually put it up here. You can, of course, just throw it down in a regular mod spot, and you don't have to unlock the Xless. I just went ahead and put it up there because I already had that slot unlocked, so I figured, why not go ahead and throw it up there? Now, let's go ahead and go into a spy mission, and you can take a look at how ridiculously fast you can do the missions with this setup. Alright, so we loaded into a Grenier spy mission here. I used Molt. Let's go ahead and melee an enemy, though, to get that Dispatch Overdrive going, then pop Molt again, and you can see we are zooming at an absolutely insane speed. For those of you that have used Cloudwalker before without any of these buffs, you know that this is much faster than how fast you can typically move. And another nice thing about Cloudwalker is that it completely ignores laser grids and cameras. Enemies can't see you, lasers can't see you, grids can't see you, nothing can see you. And of course, just use those ciphers if you have them. Speeds things up quite a bit. You can see now that our buffs have worn off, we're moving a lot slower. It's still not slow, but it is much slower than without the buffs. Let's go ahead and pop that Molt again, hit this guy, and now we're back to going absolutely insane speeds. Yeah, we'll get in the room, get in and out. Straight through that laser grid. They can't see us. Completely invisible. And we just instantly hack. Now let's zoom over to C here. Let's pop Molt again. And of course, knowing the map layouts is helpful as well when it comes to getting a mission done fast. This is one of the easiest rooms right here. You literally just go left and then right, basically. And we are already done with the mission. Pop Molt again, go back into our Cloudwalker, and then you just fly to extraction. It literally could not be easier than this. This is why it's really funny to me that spy missions are actually one of the most hated missions by new players, for example, because they think that they're so incredibly hard to do. But once you get the correct gear to do it, they become an absolute joke, and you can do less than two minutes. And I just got Rhyme Rounds, which is a mod that's worth basically 30 platinum, or around 30 platinum. So you have the little side benefit of perhaps you make a little bit extra plat there by doing spy missions like this. I wasn't even planned. It wasn't even scripted. I just ended up happening. Now let's talk about a couple more tips here before I forget them. One more thing that you can do, especially if you are a newer player putting this build together, if you want to save yourself a little bit of resources in terms of building ciphers, keep in mind that one of the Parazon mods you can throw on is called Auto Breach, and this gives you a 30% chance to do a free auto hack, so it's basically a 30% chance of using a cipher for free. It is a little bit slower than using a cipher, but if you don't have, you know, infinite resources like some of us veteran players, this can save you a little bit of resources compared to just spamming ciphers on every single terminal that you do. Also, speaking of those, if you're doing a mission where you can't use ciphers, like an Archon spy mission, for example, or a Nightmare mission, and you're worried that you're not fast enough to be able to hack all the terminals, you could change your helmet ability over to using Perspicacity. This ability, you cast it, and it makes your next cast be a guaranteed auto breach, basically. So you can just pop this before every hack that you do, and then it's as if you have a free cipher. And since this is an ability and not a cipher, this works on missions where you aren't allowed to use ciphers. So even in those missions, you can still auto hack, and it's very good. Now, the other frame that's really good for missions like this, especially some spy missions, is going to be Titania. Titania can do any of the speedrun type missions that the Wukong build I just showed you can do. You just have to make sure that you're not going full speed, basically, because if you go full speed with a Razor Wing Blitz build on, you're going to go so fast you start clipping through the map. But there is one thing that you can do with Titania that is very, very funny, and that is the Lua spy missions with a Master's Summons build. I'm going to go ahead and show that to you, and then we're going to explain what exactly it is that you just saw.
Stay focused. There's a heavy unit approaching. You're nearing the console. Trigger the alarms now, and they will start destroying the data. The moon's sudden exit from the void
and hacked.
Out of it in this state. The target console is nearby. If you trigger the alarms now, the enemy will start destroying data.
And there's another one hacked.
You're nearing the console. Trigger the alarms now, and they will.
And here's the last of the 3 hacked. And now we're at extraction in less than 2.5 minutes. And typically you can do this in less than 2 minutes, to be honest. Now let's go ahead and go over the build and explain what exactly it is that you just saw. So technically, Titania herself doesn't actually matter for this strategy. She's just the best frame to use because she's the fastest frame in the game, so we can simply get the mission done very fast. What actually matters is 2 factors. One is the Helmth ability, Master's Summons. This says, heals your companion and calls it to your side. That's really useful because you can use this to stand against the glass of those spy vaults that I just showed you, for example, on the Lewis spy mission, which is considered to be the hardest and takes the longest spy mission in the entire game. So you can summon your Moa companion inside the glass, but why does that matter? Well, it matters because if you use a Olora Moa and you use this mod, and yes, this is the only mod you need. This is literally the only mod that matters. Security Override. It says auto hacks consoles over 2 seconds. 30% chance to mind control, blah, 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 blah. Only the first part matters. Auto hacks consoles over 2 seconds. So you stand against the glass, use Master Summons to pop the Moa inside of the spy vault, and then it just runs over and hacks it for you, and you skip all of the typical puzzles you have to do. The laser grids and the grates and blowing up the barrels to reveal hidden wall exits and all that kind of stuff. You just completely skip it, instantly finish the room, and get the hell out of the mission. And that's really nice on that mission, because I mentioned rhyme rounds. That Lewis spy mission has the highest drop chance at around 7%, I believe, for rhyme rounds in the game. So if you speedrun it using the strategy over and over and over again, you can actually make a little bit of platinum on the side, so it's not too bad. Now, in terms of Titania build herself, one quick thing before I wrap up the video here, really the only mods that matter on here are Razor Wing Blitz, the Helmth ability, obviously, but in terms of mods, Razor Wing Blitz, just for some speed, and then however much power strength you want to increase the speed bonus from Razor Wing Blitz. For example, Razor Wing Blitz paired with Precision Intensify, since this gives 90% strength to her 4th ability, it also gives 90% strength to the 4th ability Augment, so that's very convenient. Aside from that, use whatever you want. So yeah, hopefully this is helpful, guys. I just wanted to let you know my 2 favorite ways to speedrun all of those kind of quick, non-kill objective-related missions in the game. If it was helpful, let me know. If it did serve you well, consider liking and subbing if you haven't already, and leaving a comment. All the usual YouTube stuff. It really does help the channel grow quite a bit. So thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.